Hello. Hello, my friends. How are you? How are all of you? Are you peaceful? I'm humbled to say hello once more to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kohera Senior. Thank you very much. It is actually afternoon. I don't know where you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me hope that you are very okay and peaceful. And actually, thank you so much for the last 2 days. We were together in our graduation ceremony for the youth who actually are graduating, and let me hope that you enjoyed, and those people who commented and actually shared, I say thank you very much. I think this is actually a new year, and we want now to move forward together. I urge you to subscribe, to comment, and actually like and share my videos, my organic brothers and sisters. And I always thank you so much for taking your time to watch and share my videos. Thank you. Today, I want to share with you about the origin, and the migrations of the Abakuria, the Kuria people. Kuria people, as I told you, I belong to the Bantu as language group, a sub-clan, a sub-language group of the Eastern Bantus. Now, let me say that we start with the traditions, how the traditions tell us about the Abakuria. The Abakuria are the sons and the daughters of one father who was known as Mukuria or Mukuria. That was the father. This man here, Mukuria, is the common original ancestor of all the Abakuria. That is Mukuria. This man had several sons and 2 wives. He had several sons and 2 wives. And actually, he had desired, after he had desired these sons, and the daughters were not told about the daughters, but the sons, these sons formed major Abakuria sub-tribes. His sons formed the major sub-tribes of the Abakuria. These are the Abanyabasi. That is one sub-tribe. Abatimbaru, that is another one, a sub-tribe of the Abakuria. Abanyamongo, Abakira, Abairege, Abakenye, Abanchari, and Abagumbe. These are actually how many? They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sub-tribes of the Abakuria. Banyabasi, Abatimbaru, Abanyamongo, Abakira, Abairege, Abakenye, Abanchari, and Abagumbe. And I have said that the common ancestor was Mukuria. Mukuria. This man lived in Misri. Misri is found in Egypt. Actually, it is Egypt. Misri is in Egypt. So this man started some migrations southwards, coming through Sudan all along the desert, where he wandered for so many years until he came near Lake Victoria. He reached Bukuria along Lake Victoria. So this word Kuria is applied to the whole group by colonial chiefs to distinguish them from Luo people along the southern shores of Lake Victoria, the Abasuba. So the Koreans came all down from Misri. They came and settled along Lake Victoria, the southern shores of Lake Victoria. And although there is a sub-tribe which is perceived to be Koreans, Abasuba, who later joined the Koreans. Here we have the Subakuria from the other River Lake Nilotes, the Luos, who are actually typical River Lake Nilotes. Because this Abasuba, we share with them some cultures like circumcisions. They circumcise boys and girls, likewise like the Koreans. So the Abakuria are divided into two families. Those are two wives of the Mukuria. The first wife was called Nyasaye. Nyasaye. So her children are called Monyasaye. Monyasaye. That is Mukurian's first wife. Nyasaye. Nyasaye is Mama Nyasaye, the mother Nyasaye is the first wife of Mukuria. And then Mukuria had a second wife, that is Muchuma. Muchuma. This mother had also daughters and sons. So these are the two wives of Mukuria. Nyasaye and Muchuma. Okay, it is also perceived that around 1774 to 1858, these people, the Abakuria, lived on Korea Hill. Korea Hill is a big hill found along Lake Victoria, as I have said, around Musoma area, southern shores of Lake Victoria. That hill was called Korea. That is between 1774 to 1858, when these people, the Abakuria, lived at Korea Hill. And that is to say, Korea Hill is found north of Mara River. We have a river called River Mara, north of Mara River in Musoma district. Musoma is found in Tanzania. Nowadays it is actually called Mara region. Mara region. So this Korea River is where now the colonialists found the Abakuria. They found the Abakuria, and Korea Hill was actually inhabited by these Korea people, and they were after this hill that now the name Kuria came. the name Kuria from Korea Hill, so they were called by the colonialists Kuria people. And the region in this Korea Hill is actually, we have another sub-tribe which is called the Abagumbe. The Abagumbe, they were calling themselves Batende. There is a sub-branch, there is a sub-tribe of the Abagumbe which are called the Abatende. So you can remember, in most cases, Koreans are referred to as the Tende people. Tende people, you sometimes hear that you are like you are very lucky, like I'm Tende person. Uko na bahati kama ya mtende. So this is a tende person who is actually extracted from the Abagumbe clan. Even if you go down there right now, you will find the Abagumbe have their there is a sub clan there, which is called the Tende clan. Okay, the Tanzanian Koreans now were actually, and mixed with the Kenyans, Koreans now were called a general by their totems because they became together and a general name was called Koreans, so that they were put together to add the number together to form the total Korean tribe. So around the 1950s, when the colonialists had come and colonized, remember in Tanzania, the Germans were ruling there through Calpitas, and in Kenya were the British. You remember the companies which came here, the IBEA, Imperial British East African Company, which was, and I think Dr. William, Dr. who? No, Dr. No, this man who constructed the railway line, let me remember, I will tell you later maybe. So they collected those small sub-tribes and they put them together as totems. So the Abakuria, the Mijikenda, the Abaluya, and the Kalenjin now became generally, they were recognized by the colonial authorities politically. Korean people may not have a common origin, although a number of clans claim to have come from Egypt. So that is actually, I've said, Mukuria came from Egypt, and that is how they came. All they passed through Sudan. They came and settled along the Lake Victoria region near Korea Hills, and that is where they settled, and they were actually recognized by the colonial authorities, and now that Korea Hill was changed to be Korea people because that is where now the origin of the Korean name came. So they had a very common culture whereby around 1400 to 1800, these migrations were laid and recognized and started their cultural and political development. That is far before. And then Bantu and the Nilotic speakers were early inhabitants actually. You remember when we talked about the Bantu and the interactions. The Bantu were interacting with the Nilotes, and those are the Kalenjins. Some of the Kalenjins are perceived to be Koreans, and some of the Koreans are perceived to be Kalenjins. So there was that interaction, and remember, the Koreans were mostly cultivators. They were agriculturalists. But the Nilotes, the Kalenjins were, the Koreans were agriculturists, they were gardening, they were cultivators, and the Nilotes, the Kalenjins were actually pastoralists. So when they interacted, they got assimilated. So this Korean man became a cultivator at the same time he was keeping animals. That is how they were assimilated. They both kept animals and they both went to the garden. They became agriculturalists. They became cultivators. So then now after this interaction, so they settled in Korea. So this part of the Koreans in Kenya, this is a less part. It's just a fraction of Koreans who are living in Kenya. Most of the Koreans live in Tanzania, in Mara region. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Koreans in Tanzania only takes 1% of the total population. It's just one region, Mara province. I think it is a province, yes, where there is a provincial commissioner, even during the colonial government. It's just 1%, and 1/4 fraction is found along Kenya. But when you come to Kenya, there is a place we call Isibania, Sirari. Isibania is where we cross. You cannot know if this man is a Tanzanian or this one is a Korean. We are actually all through from Kenya, cross to the border, and you go down to Mara. So there was this 1978 to 1979 Uganda-Tanzania war. This is when actually the Koreans became on map. They came on the map. They were on board in that 50% of the Tanzanian armed forces or the soldiers were Koreans. Why? It is because by then, the ruling president of Tanzania, that was Julius Kambarage Nyerere, was a Korean. So he recruited this 1% population until it became to 50% of the total soldiers of Tanzania. And they went across the Kagera Bridge. Kagera Bridge we have River Kagera, which borders Tanzania and Uganda. These people crossed the bridge, went and fought by then the president of Uganda, who was called Idi Amin Dada. So Nyerere fought Amin from 1978 to 1979, and he defeated him. So that is when the Korean men were known. They are very fierce people. They are very brutal. They are actually, they don't fear death once they start fighting. And that is what happened when they entered Uganda. And they sent Idi Amin into exile. I do not know where he went, to Saudi Arabia or somewhere there. And now, this war, this Uganda-Tanzania war, as I have said, that the Koreans were recruited. 50% of the soldiers were Koreans. So after 2 years, or rather 1978 to 1979, the war ended. And these people came back now. The Koreans came humbly and settled down as civilians. But now, because of that experience, because they were all there, because they had gone to war, they fought the war, they expelled Amin, they came back. When they came back, they never surrendered their guns to the government. So they had a lot of illegal arms. They had very dangerous arms. They had trained, they had fought. So when they came back, I'm talking about 1970, now 1980 to 1984, there was a very dark period. That was a very dark period in the entire Korea community due to the after war effects. They had learned how to fight. They came back with the guns. Then they turned to against one another. So the whole of Korea, from Kenya to Tanzania, there was a civil war, sort of, no, not a civil war, but an ethnic war, clan to clan war because of the guns. So they fought. There was a lot of crime. There was a lot of inter-community violence and actually power shift. And it actually caused a lot of distraction. It caused a lot of deaths. So many people died. So many people lost their properties, and there was a lot of loss because of this war. But later on, starting from 1985, calm started, and there were different administrative agencies which were put into place. So the war stopped. All the guns were surrendered to the government, both in Kenya and Tanzania. Cattle rustling was stopped, raids, and all sorts of crime was stopped. Then, as we are talking now, Korea, the entire Korea community is very peaceful. There are no guns, there are nothing. So people are moving on. Okay, now, according to the 2024 census, the Koreans, the total number of Koreans, both in Kenya and Tanzania, was 1.5 million. 1.5 million. Those who are living in Tanzania are actually almost 1 million because they are 892,000 people. That is only in Mara region, Mara, Mugumu, and all those in Musoma, along Lake Victoria. Those are Koreans. Where you find Mara region. And those ones now living in Kenya, according to the Kenyan census, was 608,000. So there are more than 0.6 million. So now, in these sides of Kenya, politically, we have 4 sub-counties. That is in Timaro sub-county, Korea East sub-county. We have 3, not 4, 3. We have 4. There are 3. We have Timaro sub-county, Korea East, that is Nyabasi sub-county, and Korea West sub-county. We have 3 sub-county commissioners who are now administrating this. In Tanzania, I cannot tell because I'm not a Tanzanian. They have their own socialist sort of administration. So, but they are always having very, very active politicians who are always participating in the national elections, like this man called I don't know this man called the chief opposition leader of Tanzania, is actually a Korean, and that is how it is. So in Kenya here we have two MPs, members of parliament, who are administrating, who are politically in the government, and they are always. The one funny thing about Korea is that ever since time memorial, they are ever in the governing government. They are ever in the ruling government. So like now, the ruling party of our republic is UDA, United Democratic Alliance, and both Korea East MP, Mr. Kitama Maro Maisori, is the current MP, and the Korea West is former teacher Robi Nyamabe, who is also a member of parliament for 3 times in Korea West. Kitama has gone 2 times. And they are all under UDA. They are in the government. So, ladies and gentlemen, the culturally in Korea, there is a circumcision of boys and girls. They always perform this circumcision after 2 years. Like now I was telling you, there was circumcision here. It has now gone and crossed the border. They are still in Tanzania. The calendar, the education program is different in from Kenyan. When we have closed here is when they have opened. Now, as we open the schools, they have now closed. They are now circumcising on the other side. They are performing that. So this, I was talking about the NGOs interfering in this, but there is a day I told you that I'm very sorry that the culture has overtaken the government and the NGOs. So in Korea, there is circumcision of both boys and girls. There is nothing we can do about this culture. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I thought of briefing you. That is just an overview of the origin and the current and the present day Korean people. As I have mentioned, all the sub-tribes and how the activities, both agriculturalists and keeping of animals. But gradually, more so in Kenya, we have actually adopted a lot of Western culture, because if you compare a Kenyan girl and a Tanzanian girl, a Kenyan girl is more of a westernized than a Tanzanian girl. In Tanzania, the culture is very deep. Even education is not the 3/4 of the girls and the boys in Tanzania do not go beyond primary education level. They are 3/4, 75%. But in Kenya, in Korea here, 75% of the total number of youths have gone to school. And that is actually my proudness. But now the culture of circumcision has defeated us. I don't know what to do. They have very strong spirits. When it reaches time, nobody can stop them from doing that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. May I stop there? The next time I will show you the Korean tools. As we move ahead, I want to exhaust the whole culture of the Korean community. Otherwise, may I once more say that thank you very much. That was just but a brief explanation about my community, but there are some deep cultures which maybe we shall see next time. Otherwise, please subscribe, like, comment, and actually share my videos, ladies and gentlemen. May I say, all of my friends, USA, Kenya, UK, Nigeria, and everywhere, I beg you still to stand with me. Otherwise, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let us meet next.